Hi everyone, and welcome back to Beverly's Stunning Creations. Today's video consists of 3 beautiful home decor DIYs. In the first DIY, you'll learn how to make this beautiful tea light candle holder. In the second DIY, you'll learn how to make this beautiful candle holder. It's similar to the first one, but on a larger scale. In my previous upload, I used a cylinder vase along with some chandelier pendants to create a candle holder as well. So if you missed out on that upload, please take out time to go check it out. In the third DIY, you'll learn how to make this gorgeous mirror wall decor that'll go perfect in any room. It's also easy and inexpensive to make. So if you like what you see and want to learn how, then please keep watching. I used this tea light holder as part of my display in my previous DIY, and one of my subscribers asked me if I had a DIY on it. I told her no, that it was store-bought. From the look of it, I could tell that it was fairly easy to make, so I decided to make one that would look very similar to it. So let's jump right into the DIY. Starting out, you'll need one of these tea light holders from Dollar Tree. And they have 2 different kinds, and I'm using the ones that look more like crystal. I've already cleaned the tea light with some alcohol. Here I have some chandelier pendants that I'll be gluing onto my tea light holder. Before you get started, you want to remove the pendants from the garland. Now I'm only using hot glue to glue my pendants onto my tea light holder. If you want this permanent, make sure you use a strong glue in conjunction with the hot glue. Now this DIY is going to be really fast and easy. I'll start out by gluing my first pendant here. Put a generous dot of glue onto the tea light holder. Put the pendant on top of the glue. Hold it in place until the glue sets up. Now if you've seen my previous DIY, you already know how this goes. And this is what it looks like with the first pendant in place. Now I'll move over about 1/4 of an inch, add more glue, put the pendant on top of the glue, hold it in place until it sets up. Here's what it looks like with the second one in place. Now I'll fast forward the video as I finish the first row of pendants. And here's what it looks like after the first row of pendants has been glued on. Like I said, this is a really fast and easy project. Start the second row by gluing 1 pendant between 2 of the pendants above it. Now repeat those steps until you've completed the second row of pendants. And just like that, you're done. You've created a beautiful tea light candle holder. Now if you use some type of glue like E6000, allow this to dry for at least 24 hours before use. And when your wait is over, just pop in a tea light, burn it, and let it glow. For our second project, you'll need more of the crystal pendants. You'll also need one of the fishbowl vases from Dollar Tree. Don't forget to clean the outside of your bowl before you start. Now with this project, I'm using Gorilla Glue along with hot glue because I want this to be permanent. Now we're going to repeat the same steps that we did in the first DIY. I'll start out by adding a small line of the Gorilla Glue near the bottom of the pendant. Next, I put a small line of hot glue right next to the Gorilla Glue. I placed the pendant about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom of the vase. I held it in place until the hot glue set up. Again, I repeated those same steps with the rest of the pendants until the first row was completed. And here's what it looks like after I completed the first row. Since I added Gorilla Glue, I put it aside for about 3 hours to let the glue set up before I went on to the second and final row. To save on time, I glued half of the second row of pendants onto the vase off camera. Again, just repeat the same steps. Add a small line of both glues, hold it against the vase until the hot glue sets up, and when you're done, put it aside to dry for 24 hours. For this next DIY, I used the 8x10 mirrored frame from Dollar Tree, but honestly you can use whatever size mirror frame that you like. Next, remove the mirror from the packaging, take the mirror apart, and put the frame aside. Next, you want to spread some glue over the back of the mirror and then glue the back panel to the mirror. I'm using the Dollar Tree FIXALL glue for this part of the project. Spread a generous amount of glue on the back of the mirror, then place the panel on top, smooth it out, and then put the mirror aside to dry. First, we're going to make the top to our perfume bottle by gluing 4 of the tower blocks together. As you can see, I'm using the Dollar Tree FIXALL glue for this as well. After I glued the blocks together, I added some tape for stability while the glue set up. Now I'll glue 10 of the tower blocks together to make the bottle. This part is really simple. Just line the blocks up and glue them together just like I'm doing here. Again, add tape to the blocks for stability and put the blocks aside to dry. The blocks dried, I removed the tape, and now it's time to put the bottle together. First thing I did was take one block and glued it to what's going to be the top of my perfume bottle. I then glued those two pieces to the bottom half of my perfume bottle. Then I put it aside to dry for about 6 hours. Here's another bottle that I made ahead of time so I can go on with the DIY. Next, I'll use a silver acrylic paint to paint the bottle. Whenever I'm using bling on pieces like this, I always spray paint it the color of the bling that I'm using, because when you're using certain blings like mesh bling or diamond wrap, they call it different things, you can actually see through it. After you apply the first coat of paint, you want to let it dry and then add a second coat. Now that the paint has dried, I'll go ahead and decorate my perfume bottle. I have some mirror towel that I'll be using to decorate the bottle, some mesh bling for the neck, and I have some square bling that I'll be using to decorate the bottle top. Again, I'll be using more of the Dollar Tree FIXALL glue to glue these pieces on. There's really no need to talk through this part. You simply cut the bling to fit and then glue it on. Now this is how I decided to design my bottle. Feel free to use just mesh bling or complete mirror tiles, whatever you want is up to you. Now, since mirror tiles can be sharp around the edge, I trimmed it out with some of the mesh bling to cover those edges. Now back to the mirror. I covered the mirror with some paper to protect your eyes from the ring light. I decided to cut some foam board to add it to the back of my mirror to give it a stronger foundation. I didn't like how thin the mirror looked, so I added some of the tower blocks to make the border deeper. You just simply arrange the blocks like I'm doing and then glue them in place. Once you're done adding the blocks, your mirror should look like this. I added hot glue to the base of the blocks to make a strong foundation. Next, I'll paint these blocks with the silver acrylic paint as well. Now I'll hot glue some of my square bling around the outside of my mirror. After I finish adding the border, I clean the mirror so that I can glue my perfume bottle to it. I'm using both Gorilla and hot glue for a strong hold. I let it sit for about 10 minutes and then decided to use some of my larger mirror tiles to create a label and then trim the label with some bling. I also started adding some of the square bling around the front of the mirror. This is what it looks like after I added the bling around the front of the mirror. Next, I added some flower bling to each corner of the mirror, and then I hot glued some rhinestones on top of each flower. I felt like the label needed to be decorated more, so I glued on one of the brooches from totallydazzled.com. I removed the back from the brooch and then used Gorilla and hot glue to glue it in place. I held the mirror up to make sure that the brooch was centered. I then pressed the brooch down until the hot glue set up. To complete my project, I glued on a sawtooth hook. I didn't hammer it because I had glass on the front and I didn't want to risk breaking it. So again, I used some Gorilla Glue along with hot glue to attach it to the back of my frame. I then put it aside to let the glue dry for 24 hours. Okay everyone, this concludes my DIY. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Let's get this video up to 3,000 likes, and I'll do a giveaway on one of my DIYs. Okay everyone, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.